Greetings everyone. My name is Aditi and today my topic is empaths and related mental disorders. Now for those of us who do not know who empaths are, these are a class of people psychologically divided as people who have a heightened sense of empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to feel someone else's emotions without actually having undergone that particular situation. Why are we talking about these people? Because a very few of us, very handful of us, are those who are very much into the habit of helping other people, feeling others' emotions without being able to distinguish between their own and other persons. Why is this important? Because these are very predisposed people to certain psychiatric disorders such as depression, anxiety, mania, bipolar disorder, somnambulism, that is sleepwalking, certain types of obsessions such as OCD. Let's try and talk about this a little more in detail. How come depression? Empaths on a general basis can feel a lot of the emotions around them without being able to protect their own energy from them. So, obviously, if anyone around them is feeling down, is going through some kind of anxiety, is tensed, has stress, they can very easily pick up on it, even before the other person realizes that they are going through this. So, how do they help? Obviously, I mean, they can feel it, so they're good hearted people and they cannot let another person suffer for them. So, they try their best to put their time, their energy, all their resources, their whole mind, heart, and soul into the other person's problems, trying to solve it. Some things, though, they need to be solved by the other person themselves. And there's not just one person going through it, the whole world suffers. They do themselves too. But how much can a single person take on for themselves? So they fall into a downward spiral of depression pretty easily. Even though, on a general outlook, they are usually kind, bright, a bundle of joy kind of people, they usually lose their hope pretty quick. Since they're the ones giving hope to other people, while other people, they don't really pick up on the chaos that's going inside their head. And it's actually very common for them not to realize that they're going into this depressive down road. Because even though they can sense the other person's problems, other people cannot very easily pick it up from them since they're masters at hiding their emotions. And how they deal with this is by retreating, withdrawing, and isolating themselves. Usually, this is a characteristic feature of empaths, so people don't usually pay much heed to it unless it gets out of control. And by the time people around them, those who care for them, notice this, they have already been suffering from a very chronic depressive period. Why anxiety? Because they feel like they were born to be heroes. Maybe they are, probably they are. Not everyone has this gift of being able to pick up on every other person's problems and having the heart to fix them for them. So it always weighs on them. How can I help them? Should I do this? Can I do something to help them? Should I be there? How long should I be there for? Obviously, this disrupts their daily lives. Empaths, on a general level, they do not have the heart to see another person suffering and they believe in letting oneself suffer for the good of another instead of letting others suffer for the good of oneself. They're the most selfless creatures you'll ever meet. And obviously, the fact that if it takes a longer period of time for them to come up with a solution for another's problem, it will provide a lot of problems in their mind. And they'll feel anxious all the time because they're pressed for time. Their own personal life is in a chaos. They have their own deadlines to meet, people to care for, but they can't really look out for them, which kind of stresses them out most of the time. And there's hardly a time when they're relieved. So let's move on. Why mania? There are times when they can just erupt from the stress. After that, it's really hard for them to be normal in a way. There are also people that are narcissistic and use empaths for their own use. And for these people, they can do nothing but only give. And later on, it leads them to a path of self reproach, which is an obsessive form. And the anxiety may also develop into sleepwalking, which is a path between being awake and being asleep and intoxicated in the same way. They have no idea what they're doing or why they're doing it, but the tension inside them just eats them up alive. They might even feel guilty for not being able to help another person. Or if someone else says, well, why weren't you there? Why didn't you listen to my problem? Why didn't you pick up the call? Obviously, it's not like they didn't want to. But there are times when the empath themselves are in such a state of breakdown that they can't help but not deal with another's problem, even if it's just for 5 minutes. But then they fall into this cycle of self guilt, self reproach, and they may even reach a state of paranoia where they feel that every other person around them is suffering and they're blaming them for their problems because they weren't there to help them. So I beg you, if you see or identify any other empath out there walking around doing their own thing, trying to save the world, lend them a hand. Try and be good to them. Thank you.